All aboard, everyone! Welcome to Tracks of Laughter, Life on the Go. I'm your host, Ro on the radio, and we're chugging along the funny line today. Join me as we take a wild ride through the hilarious side of life, from the quirks of everyday experiences to the uproarious moments that make our journeys unforgettable. So grab your tickets, hold on tight, and get ready to roll down the tracks of life.
The summer of 1976 smelled like cut grass, hot vinyl car seats, and possibility. In a split-level house on the edge of Topeka, Kansas, 17-year-old Danny Harper was trying to outrun everything by cranking up the volume on his father's old Lafayette stereo. His older brother Tommy had shipped out to Fort Riley 6 months earlier, and then been sent to wherever the Army sends kids still dealing with acne and bad haircuts. The letters came slowly, and when they arrived, they didn't offer much comfort. The last one, dated 2 weeks prior, ended with, "Tell Mom I'm fine. Tell yourself the same." But Danny wasn't fine. He had wrecked the Mustang, his father's Mustang, just 2 nights after graduation, wrapping it around a telephone pole on the way home from a party he couldn't even remember attending. Dad hadn't yelled. He had simply looked at the twisted wreckage and said, "Some things you can't carry on from, son," before walking back into the house without another word. So Danny carried the guilt instead. He carried it to his graveyard shift at the Phillips 66, in the metallic taste of too many warm Schlitz tall boys, and in the silence that now filled the space where his brother's laughter had once been. One Thursday in July, while flipping through the new release bin at the record store on Wanamaker Road, Danny was searching for something loud enough to drown everything out. The clerk, a guy with a walrus mustache and a Kansas shirt 2 sizes too small, slid a record across the counter. "Just in," he said. "Local boys made good. You'll feel this one in your chest." The cover showed 6 long-haired guys staring at the camera as if they knew secrets. Kansas. Carry On, Wayward Son. Danny bought it with tip money that still smelled like gasoline. That night, with the windows down, he drove the back roads while the 8-track was cranked up until the speakers rattled. When the a cappella voices hit, "Carry on, my wayward son," the hairs on his arms stood up. Then the riff came in, sharp as a switchblade, and Kerry Livgren's guitar seemed to reach straight through the dashboard and grab him by the sternum. "There'll be peace when you are done. Lay your weary head to rest. Don't you cry no more." He pulled over on a gravel turnout overlooking the Kansas River, killed the engine, and let the song play again. And again. Each time, the masochist in him waited for that moment when the music pretended to end. 4 seconds of silence, before exploding back twice as hard, like life refusing to stay quiet. Something cracked open. He thought of Tommy trudging through some jungle halfway around the world. He thought of the Mustang, his father's tired eyes, and his mother setting an extra plate at dinner out of habit. He thought of himself masquerading as a man who had it all figured out when he was really just a kid terrified of becoming his own cautionary tale. Danny rested his forehead against the steering wheel and, for the first time since the accident, cried like the world wasn't watching. When the tape clicked off, the crickets had taken over. He wiped his face with his t-shirt, started the loaner Chevy his dad had grudgingly co-signed for, and drove home slower than he ever had in his life. The next morning, he enrolled in the community college auto tech program. He wrote Tommy a 6-page letter that didn't once say, "I'm sorry," because the song had taught him that some burdens you just carry until you choose to set them down yourself. He even started leaving the stereo volume at a reasonable level because, for once, the noise in his head had quieted enough for him to hear the quieter things. His mother humming in the kitchen, his father saying, "Good morning, son," like he meant it. Years later, long after the 8-track wore out and cassette tapes became museum pieces, Danny, now the owner of Harper's Garage on the west side, kept a pristine vinyl copy of Leftoverture behind the counter. Customers waiting for oil changes would hear it drifting from the back room, that same opening riff cutting through the smell of motor oil and coffee. Whenever a kid came in looking lost, fresh license, fresh mistakes, fresh ghosts, Danny would nod toward the speakers. "Listen to this one," he'd say. "It'll tell you what you need to know better than I ever could." And somewhere in the harmony, in the silence before the final chorus crashes home, those kids always heard the same message Danny had on a humid Kansas night in 1976. Once I rose above the noise and confusion, just to get a glimpse beyond this illusion. Carry on. You're not done yet. Carry on.